If there is a message for us today, I believe it is to learn to live from our heart in love. These short lessons, hopefully, will help to inspire you to live with purpose, love passionately, and inspire others. We are the change agent our world needs. I'm Helen Toews. Step into the river today with me to explore the mysteries of God. They are not hidden from us, but for us to discover.
You'd think after all these years that I wouldn't have to even think about where that button is to press record, but it seems very deliberate every week. Welcome everybody, and welcome to everybody that's still coming on. I don't ever mean to be rude, but we'd really do like to start the evenings from 7 to 9. Like I try and share with people, it's a school night, and really it's to respect people's time. But we'll see you after the program, and we'll in our conversation time. But I just want everyone to know that they're welcome, and really happy to see Bobby's posting most of the things now that we're doing, and people are coming back online to visit with us during the week, and that really blesses me. So I want to say hi to everybody that is part of that. Tonight, we are actually going into a continuation of last week, where Bobby and I were looking for a title for last week, and we called it Yahweh, Friend or Foe, because it became a very controversial program. And this one is Yahweh, Friend or Foe, Part 2, and I suspect we're going to go into another next week, because I feel there's an unraveling happening that I really want to share, and I want it to be very respectful in the sharing and give people an opportunity to think things through with us, because some of the things that we've been talking about are controversial, and from what I understand, there's a little bit of cognitive dissonance happening. Last week, we took a brief journey through the movements of God from the 1950s to the present. And as we know, the internet has amplified countless voices. And the challenge is, through the internet, as good as it is, that we're often led by opinions and trends. And sometimes our heart, I call my heart is my spirit, that rises up and has questions, but we don't ask them because we like to be part of a group, even when that contradicts the spirit within us. So now more than ever, I really feel it's time to ask courageous questions. Last week, that question was, who is Yahweh? And there seems to be some stirring around the name itself, because we're challenged when we see it attached to events in the Old Testament that are not in line with the God portrayed in the New. And I personally began asking questions, and I realized that many of us have as well. However, there's little open discussion on the topic. So tonight, before I continue into part 3, which will be next week, I hope to unlock some more of how the name itself came to be and what ancient texts reveal. That's what where I want to go next week, and do a little bit of a deep dive there. But I want to encourage us to continue to ask questions, and maybe stirring ourselves up to be able to break the 4-minute mile. We're setting up here. Before, it was widely believed that the human body was incapable of running a mile in under 4 minutes. Did you know that? That doctors and coaches and even athletes themselves claimed it was physiologically impossible. Yet, A man named Roger Bannister refused to accept the collective limitation. Before his historic run in 1954, he trained not only his body, but also his mind and his spirit, holding within himself a vision that defied the world's belief system. How do I know that? Because any time that a whole collective says it's impossible, that's what we have to do. We have to come to that place within ourselves, body, mind, and spirit, and hold it within ourselves. When he finally broke that barrier, he shattered more than a record. He shattered a collective illusion. From a spiritual perspective, this event mirrors the way consciousness operates in the quantum field. A limitation only exists as long that it's believed to exist. Once one consciousness transcends the boundary, it opens a new potential in the collective field. It's like there's a doorway of resonance that opens so that others can now walk through it effortlessly. I believe that the story of the 4-Minute Mile represents a profound awakening in collective consciousness. It was a demonstration of how belief, once expanded, reshapes reality itself. And Bannister's achievement broadcast a new frequency into the human mind. That frequency said, it is possible. And within weeks of him doing that, others began doing it. It was just outstanding. What once seemed miraculous became normal, not because physiology changed, but because a belief system changed. Last week, at the end of the message, I showed a short video. It's a less than 1 minute video of a little girl who had been born to parents with drug abuse disorders. She was born with her internal organs outside her body, and she needed immediate surgery if she was to live. That surgery was successful. And at that time, and now, her joints were also not aligned. She had many, many challenges. Little Sophia today is 10 years old. Her Mimi, her grandmother, has been her biggest fan since birth. And her grandmother held her and prayed over her because her parents were not able to at the time. But today, both parents are in a new life and free of addictions. And I'm happy to say this testimony came from her grandmother, who is part of the river, even as we speak now. Sophie is a bright spark. She's a bit cheeky, as you'll see. She has a grand imagination. She shares impromptu stories with her Mimi that are outstanding, yet she had never, ever walked on her own. And that was until last Tuesday. Last Tuesday, she was playing with her 2-year-old brother. He was running around as 2-year-olds do with his dinosaurs, and she was on the floor chasing him, walking on her bottom and with her hands. That was her only way of getting around. It was then she decided, I can walk too. You know what? So she did. The next day, her father came to pick her up, and she said, hey, Dad, look at this. And she walked to him. Later that evening, he had his phone and recorded the event for Mimi, for her grandmother. And that's what we want to show you right now on a video.
All right, let's go.
Hi, Mimi. Dad.
You know what? It's only a really brief moment in time that we watched. I think I'm looking at the timestamp. It was 25 seconds. But this little girl said to herself, I can walk. And she got up and did. Oh my golly. Sophie's my hero. And just like Roger Bannister in 1954, when he broke the 4-minute mile barrier, I believe our little Sophia has done the same. Her story resonates with Roger Bannister's. Her story reveals that humanity is not constrained by external laws alone, but by the agreements of thought that shape our reality. Sophia thought she could, and she did. When Sophia has not taken lessons in faith and that she can do it, she thought it, she knew it, and she did it. Do you know, when one person embodies faith that transcends fear, when one soul lives from awareness that spirit, not matter, is the true source of limitation or freedom, they expand what's possible for everyone. Last week, when I shared this little video at the end of the message, and then we went into conversation with what we call the Hollywood Squares here, and we started talking about what we'd just seen. One of the our friends online said she has now, this little Sophie has now inspired her. She herself had not been able to walk for a number of months. She says, I can walk. That's what happens. That's what happens when one soul lives from that awareness. And even though little Sophie didn't know that her spirit was stronger than matter, she knew it within her. I had just a silly little example of this at my nephew's wedding this summer. We were putting up this huge white tent on the property, and it was being raised to accommodate 120 so guests for a sit-down dinner. It was absolutely gorgeous with all the fairy lights and everything. And the debate was, should we or should we not put up the windows on the sides? We had two experts. The sailing expert had the sailing app on his phone, says, yes, we must, because this app is showing the storms coming in. We had an aviation expert, concurred. He had his app, and it showed, yes, there's a storm coming. And little old me said, listen, there's enough manpower here to put up the windows if we need it, but it's not going to rain. They ignored me. Imagine, right? The experts. And I walked away, and inside I heard this little voice that said, Helen, it only takes one. Do you know that it didn't rain until midnight? Beautiful dinner, beautiful speeches, all took place. And then the rain came then. And then all that happened was the dancing and music moved under the tent. It doesn't matter how big or little, it only takes the one. We're all connected, and we're learning to live from the truth that we are all in the one. When one person on the planet does something, it affects us all. Can you wrap your mind around that? It seems so big, right? The one little thing, the one Roger Bannister on a track changed the world. And I'm bringing little Sophia into that category tonight as well. That one little thing, that one, that was a gift to us actually. Her saying, I can, has changed so much in the spirit realm. Bannister's run was not merely an athletic feat, but a collective initiation to higher consciousness. Do you think I'm making something, bigger than life? It is bigger than life for a lot of us, but it's the truth. And it teaches that when we transcend fear, when we transcend limitation within ourselves, we lift the field for everyone, for all. It's like one light dispels darkness for many. Spiritually, the 4-minute mile symbolizes every barrier we hold as unbreakable. In healing, in peace, in creativity or enlightenment, the moment one person steps beyond what is deemed impossible, a new template is established in the collective consciousness grid. It reminds us that belief is the architecture of reality, and every breakthrough in spirit becomes an inheritance for all humanity. This is no small thing. It is a global truth. At the time when running a mile in under 4 minutes was considered impossible, the experts claimed the human body couldn't withstand the strain, that the heart, the lungs would fail before the finish line. So this was not a physical truth, it was a collective belief. And the boundary drawn not by nature, not even by the profession, or science, but by thought. And I'll say that again. It was a collective belief, a boundary drawn not by nature, but by thought. And it's not different from our little Sophia. Imagine for 10 years, all that was said about her, about the 4-minute mile was said about her. Like, I can hear the medical voices, the relatives, the friends that saw her condition. I can see also that someone that believed for her and had faith that her seemingly impossible situation was totally possible. When one man, Roger Bannister, saw beyond it, he believed in something unseen, a potential that lived just beyond the edge of reason. In 1954, when he crossed the finish line at the 3 minutes, 59 seconds, he didn't just break a record, he broke a spell. Because that's what we do when we buy into something. When we buy into a group thought in one area, it casts a spell. He broke that spell. The wall of limitation that existed in human consciousness in athletics dissolved. When our little 10-year-old girl said in a house somewhere in the U.S., "I can walk," when one little heart and mind went beyond the groupthink, she took down the wall of limitation. What happened with Roger's record-breaking performance? Well, as I've said, within weeks, it was immediate. Immediately, others began running under 4-minute miles as if it had never been difficult. The boundary had been an illusion all along, one that vanished the moment someone remembered it wasn't real. I hope this, I know I feel like I'm grinding over and over, but I hope you get it. I hope that we all get it, that anything that limits us, or anything that puts us into a box and somebody says it's impossible, when that someone remembers that it's not real, it changes things. Spiritually, this moment mirrors the quantum nature of consciousness. Reality bends not to what's true, but what we believe to be true. When one person shifts a belief, the entire field of possibility rearranges. And what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary. I am so seeing that. I'm so seeing children that will stand up and say, "I can walk." People that are in impossible situations standing and saying, "I can." This is how evolution happens. It's not through force, it's through remembering. Each breakthrough in human potential is a message from the greater self saying, you are more than you have been told. The 4-minute mile is not about running, it's about awakening. It reminds us that every impossible is only a mirror reflecting back the limits of our imagination. When one heart dares to believe differently, the whole of humanity runs freer. Every time one soul remembers their limitlessness, the whole world runs faster toward the light. And we need courage to think beyond inherited frameworks. Last week, my challenge was very provocative to many people. I shared the history of spiritual movements, waves of belief that have developed throughout the decades. We're always led by a few pioneers or forerunners, as we call them. It was not a comprehensive study that we did, but it was an outline to bring us to where we are in today's consciousness shift. In this shift, we seem to be greatly influenced by new terminology that is bringing questions to old mindsets and actually exposing the fact that maybe we're not asking questions, but settling into new thoughts being supported by others. And at the same time, we have questions that raise doubts. One specific challenge we discussed was the question, who is this Yahweh, that has been introduced to our vocabulary as God himself? In the Old Testament, Yahweh's stories, excuse me, in the Old Testament, the stories can seem deeply contradictory to the Jesus stories. At times, God is portrayed as loving and protective in the Old Testament, and other times wrathful or even cruel. If that God was in therapy today, it would probably be labeled schizophrenic. And the reason I was so provocative asking about Yahweh is that I'm asking us to have the courage to ask questions. In our group discussion afterward, one of the points of concern was that for some reason we have stopped asking questions and have just gone with the flow of what traditions and doctrine and some of the people up front of movements have told us. A number of us, however, have had the same questions. I want to say there is sacred value in our questions, and maybe it's time that we had courage to ask whether we needed clarity on a subject. There is great spiritual power in our questions. Questions are not a sign of rebellion or unbelief. They are evidence of a living, breathing relationship of truth itself. Questions are how consciousness grows. They're invitations from the soul asking, is there more to know? Doubt in this sense is not the enemy of faith. It is what presses us to move beyond our intimidation and into revelation. It is what opens us up to direct experience. If we don't ask the questions, we'll remain stuck, and worse yet, get indoctrinated to something that will prevent us from being like our little Sophia, saying, I can. It'll prevent us from receiving our miracles. In many traditions, questioning sacred texts or long-held doctrines has been seen as dangerous. Would you believe that? Some of us have been told that to question is to offend God. I have to ask, if God is truly omniscient, omnipotent, and all-present, can such a being be threatened by curiosity? Or is curiosity one of the divine tools through which we awaken? Could God be simply waiting on us to ask so we can move forward into what has been created for us? Consider how the name Yahweh has been interpreted. In modern theology, the name has often often equated with the omnipotent, omniscient, all-loving source. Yet in the scriptures themselves, this character sometimes acts with jealousy, vengeance, anger, revenge, and wrath, commanding wars, punishing nations, or demanding absolute obedience or punishment would come to his own. When these contradictions appear, many have simply spiritualized them away, saying things like, God's ways are higher than ours. Or, we can't understand the mysteries of God. But what if these inconsistencies are actual invitations to question? What if the divine is asking us to grow beyond literalism, to look deeper into language, into history, into consciousness itself? Some say Yahweh reflects humanity's evolving understanding of the divine, a stage in the collective journey, not the final destination. Next week, we're going to look at the logic of that and have questions. To question such things is not to reject God, but to seek God beyond the veil of human interpretation. When you allow yourself to question, you are saying, I trust that truth can withstand my curiosity. And you know what? This is the path of awakening. Each honest question removes a layer of inherited belief, something that we have brought forward from generations at times, and it makes space for direct knowing. All of us have experienced that direct knowing. You know because you know because you know. And when you do, there's an understanding that arises not from dogma, but from communion, from relationship. Our questions can be humbling, but our ego can get in the way of the answer because it wants to be right. And sometimes change is difficult. If we realize that questions can help us distinguish between what we are taught about God and what we actually experience as divine presence, then the act of questioning becomes a form of prayer. It becomes a dialogue between your limited awareness and the infinite intelligence of God that longs to reveal himself through you. For me, God is Father. I understand Father as Jesus has shown him, and I recognize also the God as Paul shows in Acts 17. I brought this one in to the lesson last week. And in Acts 17, Paul is in Athens, and he's familiar with the worship and the idols and other gods, and he had this to say about God. He said, this is from the Mirror Translation, he is the author of all things, the very architect of the universe. He cannot be confined to man-made shrines. He does not require the assistance of human hands as if he were lacking in any sense. He is the source of breath, life, and all things. Out of one, he made every nation. In him, we live and move and have our being. Isn't that a marvelous scripture? He is the source of our existence, for we indeed are his offspring. What would happen if we began to think like Sophia and like Roger Bannister? What would happen if we began to think that all things are possible? In Mark 9, it says, everything is possible for one who believes. It's a reminder that faith is a bridge between human limitation and divine possibility. In Philippians 4, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's Paul's statement of spiritual empowerment. Divine strength flows through every one of us, regardless of who we are, where we are. Divine strength can flow through every one of us if we allow it to. We are really without excuse. And if you're on this call or listening to it on YouTube later, we have many experiences. You have many experiences yourself that prove these things to be true. We're seeing what appears to be the impossible happen often. And tonight, I want to challenge us all. The following is just a suggestion. We're not going to go do it as an activation, but I would challenge you, write down one question that you have been afraid to ask about God, about the Bible, or your faith, or your church, or tradition. It's just between you and God. Let it be honest. Let it be raw, even uncomfortable. Just write it down. And then just sit in the silence with that question. Not to demand an answer, but to feel the vibration of the question in your heart. And maybe ask, what truth is this question trying to reveal to me? Often the answer will come not in words, but they'll come in peace, insights, synchronicities. They'll come when you're least expecting it. The answer will come. Sometimes we need to be prepared to have the answer. When the student is ready, the teacher does come. Notice the freedom that arises when you realize that the still small voice within you invites your curiosity and opens a dialogue. Don't ever fear your questions. That's what human systems do. They try to lock us in with fear and inhibit the very things that will free us. Just the questions. Every great awakening in history began when somebody dared to say, something doesn't feel right here. Is there more? Our questions are sacred keys. They open the prison doors of assumption and lead us into that vast mystery of the infinite. A God far greater than any single name, any story or book could contain. Tonight, in the middle of this, I would just like us now to take time in a meditation. I'll guide us through it. And if you come back when it's posted, Bob will have spun his brilliance with it and put music and visuals. But tonight, I'll just guide us through it in the silence. And if you'd like to join in, let's just take a deep breath right now. Just be in that quiet space where you can sit comfortably. Take a minute to adjust yourself. Your hands, relax your shoulders. Just relax your hands, your arms. Close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. And just bring awareness to your breathing. The simple rhythm that connects your inner and outer worlds is our breathing. Just inhale deeply. And exhale slowly. Feel the breath. Keep going. Soften your body and clear your mind. Let's just stay here for a minute or so. Now bring your attention to the area of your heart. Imagine it like a soft, radiant light glowing there. Warm, golden, alive. This light represents your inner truth, your divine compass. Now as you breathe, let this light expand, filling your chest, your shoulders, your arms, until your whole being glows with the presence of love. Let that settle in you. Completely at rest. This would be a time to just whisper inwardly, I open my heart to what is true. I trust that love and truth are one. Feel this truth not like an idea, but a vibration pulsing through your body. Your heart knows what is real. Your heart supports truth. Now bring your awareness to your mind, that space behind your eyes, the center of thought, of reason, of memory. There's a clear, cool light there. Just allow any racing thoughts to calm. Remind those thoughts they are valued, but they'll be welcomed another time, not at this moment. You can whisper inwardly, I open my mind to divine understanding. You might feel your heart and your mind as two sacred instruments, each holding a different tone. They're beginning to harmonize, a single resonance of knowing and feeling united. Visualize a light forming between your heart and your mind, like a golden thread connecting love, wisdom, truth. Maybe see the light traveling back and forth. Understanding is flowing downward to the heart, love rising upward to the mind. These meet in the center of your being and they merge into a single radiant pulse of awareness. We can whisper softly, in me, heart and mind are one. Truth moves freely through my being. Feel the peace that comes when intellect and intuition walk hand in hand. You are one. You are one with all creation. Now could be a time to call forth a question that lives quietly inside you, a question that you've been afraid to ask, perhaps about faith, your path, your understanding of God, anything that you need to question is a perfect time. Don't judge it. Simply hold it, letting your heart and mind listen together. This is a time we can say within, I have courage to ask. I trust that truth welcomes my curiosity. You may sense a gentle presence, just as that still, small voice is leaning in closer, smiling, grateful that you are brave enough to wonder. In this stillness, know this: truth is not fragile. It cannot be broken by inquiry, only revealed. Take a few slow breaths. Stay grounded in your body as you are anchored in love, in open awareness. Imagine the light of your heart-mind union expanding around you, a luminous feel of honesty, humility, and courage. This is your sanctuary of truth. Whisper one final affirmation. I walk in truth. I listen with courage. When you're ready, just open your eyes. Take your time. In this meditation time, you may have received a direct answer, like yes or no. You may have received guidance, or may have opened a dialogue to go further into the question. My personal experience has showed that once a question is asked, the answer might come in what seems odd ways. It could be a phrase, I might hear it randomly. It might be something I read that triggers that aha moment. So many serendipities that come along that we used to think odd are now often an answer to a question. So as you carry this feeling into your day, if it's nighttime, just allow yourself to hold it. Allow every insight to guide you closer to the living presence of the divine within you, the one that you live totally in unity with. Before we take questions, I just want the challenge to be clear. When one person embodies faith beyond fear, when one soul lives from the awareness that spirit, not matter, is the source of limitation or freedom, that one person expands what is possible for every one of us. We are all connected, and we're learning to live from the truth that we are all in the one. Sophia and Roger both have amazing stories. They're not just testimonies. They're an invitation to us all. My new question is, are you willing to be that next person? I've already said yes. I've said yes to God. I want to be that next person. Okay, Hollywood Squares. Gallery. Okay. Before we go into our conversation on this, I just want to ask if there's anyone that has a question or a comment to tonight. It's been a lot of stuff one more time, and okay. It's really hard to go into questions and stuff after meditation and everything, isn't it? All right, Rick, or Karen.
I had some thoughts about Bannister because I remember that time vaguely, only because of being in school and what happened. And I was thinking as you were talking about how that must have unlocked a lot of people. I mean, how quickly other athletes
Right.
went forward and even beat his time. We had a young man here in Kansas that ran for Kansas later, but when he was in high school, he was the first high schooler to break the 1 minute or the 4 minute mile barrier, and then went on to win a silver at the Olympics. And not to say that, but just to say how could that overflow, something like that, like what Sophia did? How can that overflow into other things? We have a testimony from someone in our group that hadn't been able to walk and is now walking again. And what about moving into other aspects of life? I mean, I'm just this is really, really good, and I am blown away by what's going on in my head, and that's all I'm really going to say because I'm really taking this and going, well, wow, what's possible? Anything is possible
Yeah.
if we
And
just allow it.
I really appreciate your comments on that, because as I'm sitting there too, Rick, I totally am. I want to remember that this is possible. I don't want the Roger Bannister story. I mean, that's just a illustration, but
Yeah,
I don't want the principle of that. I don't want the truth of that to disappear from my heart and my mind, because I want it there to so that I will operate out of that as my foundation, my jumping off point, that anything is possible. But the other thing I was so stirred with, and I know this is my own study that I'm sharing, but the fact is that these things these are not just athletics. This is not just a little girl that delighted her grandparents by, or her father. That's just not a little thing in isolation. These are spiritual things that happen, that break open the truth of our existence to make everything possible. And it's shown in such a stellar way with Roger Bannister, because now we have it recorded, right? Just like you said, somebody who has broken it, the 4 minute mile themselves, and it just happened. It was recorded all over. But the fact is, that's what happens within us. And we can continue that. We are unlimited beings. We are unlimited. We need to remind me, Rick, if I start speaking in other language, that I'm unlimited. Yeah.
well, I just want to say from a personal standpoint, I just turned 75, and I know people who at 70 or even 60 are basically giving up. They're just not, what's left. I'll just hang around until I die. And I mean, I see little Sophia doing what she's doing, and it just invigorates me. It just excites me. It fuels me to go, what's next?
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah.
instead of,
Absolutely.
coming down. What's next? What are the possibilities?
Mhm.
Do I have a book in me? I don't know. I just throw that out there. I mean, I know somebody who just wrote a book, and
Yeah.
maybe I have one.
And there's a book in every one of there's
There is.
whatever's possible is in every single one of us. There is nothing impossible. We've just got to take the limitations, and that's why I love the opportunity in our a group and groups like the river, that we can remind each other of that. Like, we've given each other permission not to talk doubt and fear and limitations. And when we do, then we need to just welcome our friends that say, "Hey, wait a minute, Helen, that's that's no way to think."
Yeah.
Well, and I am rocked by the statement you made. A limitation exists only as long as you believe it exists. That so rocks me. And I'm just like challenging my beliefs because of that.
Yeah.
It's like there are things that I believe that are happening because it's what I believed. But now I have a different paradigm with which to look at that and I'm excited about the possibilities in
Right
my own
on.
life.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. And you're pretty close to that story. It started
Absolutely.
in her grandmother's arms. Yeah. Like, let's
It's
not
incredible.
look at a whole thing, right? There's no little part of these miracles.
Yeah.
I believe
Thank you.
Roger Bannister had someone in his life that says you can do it.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Yeah.
let's be the one that tells people they can do it.